4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, hello. I'm Dan Salem, live on YouTube BuzzChomp channel. About to talk the NFL, and this week specifically the NFC East. Before I start blabbering away about our favorite sport, football, let me go live on Facebook. And we're live in 3, 2, 1. Hello, 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 Facebook, YouTube. I'm live, double platforms. Dan Salem, at the Dan Salem on Facebook. Over on YouTube, BuzzChomp channel, BuzzChomp, just like it sounds. But on Twitter, there's an extra Z, and I'm about to tweet this baby out so everyone can join in our NFL live conversation. Today, we are talking the NFC East. Preview City, baby, because it's August and football is finally back. All right. At the Dan Salem on Twitter, going to tweet it out. Going to hit the retweet button over on BuzzChomp. Please share the love with your likes and retweets. And then we will dive right in. Yes, the Cookie Monster says AFC East preview because that was last week. Last week, we talked AFC East preview. We went through all 4 teams and their schedules and kind of discussed how they may fare or foul. Obviously, the Patriots are going to be good. They're going to win the AFC East. This week, we're over in the NFC East. And I'm calling this the toughest division in football, top to bottom. All 4 teams have the same quarterback coming back to play for them again this season. And that really speaks volumes to the level of play in the NFC East. Now, football fans, it's August. We have games in shortly 2 weeks, perhaps, not even, about 2 weeks until my Jets play. These are preseason games. There's going to be a lot to watch for in the preseason, especially as a Jets fan. But in the NFC East, the preseason is please don't get hurt time. You don't want to see your best guys out there. You don't want to see them get hurt. And the Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, and Redskins have a lot of players that nobody wants to get hurt, except for maybe the opposition. Okay, last season, NFC East, Cowboys won it. 13-3, very impressive. Only 3-3 in the division. It speaks to how challenging this division is. It also speaks to how competitive it is, and the fact that the Giants had the Cowboys number. Giants also made the playoffs, second in the division at 11-5. They went 4-2 in the division. That's good. Redskins were 3-3 in the division, 8-7-1 overall, winning record. Philadelphia 7-9, not bad with a rookie quarterback. 2-4 in the division. Abysmal 1-7 on the road. That really hurt them. Where am I? Oh, right. So, I waited a long time last week in the AFC East to talk point differentials. I'm going to jump right into it because last year, every team in the NFC East had a positive point differential. Was it the only? Yeah, it was the only conference in all of football that could make that claim. 2 others had 3 of 4. It was the only conference in all of football that had all 4 teams with positive point differentials, meaning they scored more than they gave up. When your worst record is 7-9, that kind of makes sense, right? But actually, the Redskins with plus 13 had the lowest differential. They were 8-7-1, almost full 2 games over 500, a game and a half. Dallas plus 115, the Giants plus 26, Philadelphia plus 36. I think Philadelphia won a few blowouts. They were not as good as that differential. The reason I mentioned point differentials is because it kind of speaks to how dominant your team is and how you may or may not dominate in the upcoming season. So because the Cowboys finished first, we will take a look at their schedule this season first. Because I'm going to go through each team, and we're going to decide how they're going to finish. You're welcome to chime in. Leave me comments on Facebook. Leave me comments on YouTube. And I will answer them live. Maybe even read them aloud so other people can understand. So the Cowboys, they have to start the year at the Giants. No, versus the Giants at Dallas. In Dallas. I'm speaking. That's a tough matchup. Now, both teams are always really well prepared week one. We've had a long time to prepare for week one, about a month. The home team has a distinct advantage. It's their home opener, and Dallas should beat the Giants week one, except that New York beat them both times last season. And New York is very good, especially in the passing game. I don't know. Like, I know Dallas improved their defense, but I don't think they're good enough to stop the Giants on offense. This is going to be a nail-biter. Because of home field advantage, I will give the edge to Dallas, but it's a nail-biter. I'm not sure they cover the spread. Then they have to go to Denver and Arizona. And I mean, I'm not really high on Denver, but I think Arizona will be much better this season. They play the LA Rams, and then Green Bay Packers at home. That's I'm going to give the Cowboys. They start 4-1. Probably 3-2, 3-2 maybe, 4-1 heading into the bye week. It's not dominant, but it's good. I think that they could lose to the Giants and Arizona, but they likely win at least one of them. And then Green Bay, since they're at home right before their bye, week 5, I'm torn. So that's why I'll say 4-1, 3-2 heading into the bye. Then you get San Francisco and Washington and Kansas City. That's 3 wins in a row. Got to go to Atlanta. I think they'll fall there. Philly, the Chargers, Washington again. Those are 3 wins in a row, in my opinion. I think they sweep the season series against Philly and Washington. They're both good teams, not as good. And then you got to go to the Giants and to Oakland. I think that's 2 more losses. So what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4. Seattle, Philadelphia. I think that unlike last year, Dallas was 13-3. I think that they're going to lose probably 4 games. They'll probably go 12-4. 11-5 is possible, because they do got to go play Seattle at the end of the season, and at Philadelphia the final week. Could be a tough game. But I'm thinking 12-4 for the Cowboys. This is still a very good football team. Maybe 11-5. It's just, with the improvement on some of these other squads, I don't know if they can win 13 or plus more games again. And since they opened the year against the Giants, I will jump to New York. I do think that the Cowboys will win this division. 12-4 will be enough to do it. I think the Giants are going to be very good. I don't think they're going to be 12-4 good. I don't think they're going to be better than Dallas. I think we're going to see a very similar standings-wise to last season, with Philadelphia and Washington flopping places. But let's continue, if we shall. At Dallas week 1, that's probably a loss for the Giants. And they get Detroit, at Philly, at Tampa Bay. Now, this is hard because of the road games. I think Philly they were very good at home last year, not so good on the road. And Tampa Bay, I think, is much improved. The Giants could easily go 1-3. I think they'll probably be 2-2. And they play the Chargers, but in New York, not LA. At Denver versus Seattle versus the Rams. I mean, maybe they lose to the Seahawks, but that's otherwise 3 out of 4 victories. That's what I say. If they start 2-2 and then they got another loss, that's 3 losses heading into the bye. Then they're going to totally dump on the Rams, San Francisco, Kansas City, at Washington, at Oakland. Probably 2 more losses there. That's 5. And then I think they split with Dallas. They'll beat Dallas at home. Beat Philly at home. At Arizona could be tough versus Washington. I think that I believe the Giants will split their season series with probably all 3 teams in the East this year. I know, right in NFL Spin Zone rivalries, Giants, Cowboys, and I said the Giants would beat the Cowboys both times. That's just for fun. I'd like to see it happen, but more realistically, they'll split, which gives the Giants about 5 losses, or 6, 11-5, 10-6. I think that's a good record. I think it's enough for a wild card berth in the NFC. Now, will any more teams make the playoffs from the NFC East? I'm sorry, I just don't think so. I don't think So the reason I say that, because the Eagles and the Redskins have to play the Giants and the Cowboys twice. Eagles start on the road at Washington. That's a tough play. I think Philadelphia is better than Washington this season. I like the evolution, if you will, of their quarterback, Carson Wentz. And I like that they just feel like they're starting to gel. Washington feels like they were kind of fracturing. They don't want to keep their quarterback around for whatever mind-boggling reason, and I can't imagine that sits well with the team. So I think that the Eagles and Redskins swap places this season in the standings in the East. I already got the Cowboys and the Giants down. So how do the Eagles fare? They got to go to Washington and to Kansas City, and then they play the Giants at home. Then they got to go to the LA Chargers. That's really a tough draw for the first month of the season for Philly, 3 road games. But I'm not that high on the Chiefs, and I like the Chargers. So I think that they can do. I think they'll probably start 2-2. I think they win at home in their home opener against the Giants. Then they got to play Arizona at Carolina. They'll split with Washington. They're going to beat San Francisco. They're better. San Francisco's tanking it. Denver, that's going to be a tough game, but they're at home. They got to go to Dallas. That's a loss. They'll beat the Bears. The Bears stink. They got to go to Seattle. That's a loss. They got to go to LA again for the Rams, but the Rams are not as good. To New York, and then Oakland and Dallas are both losses. They're just not better. So they're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. I could see Philadelphia being 9-7. 10-6 may happen, but that's a bit of a stretch because it's just too much parity. I think 9-7 is more likely for this team, and that's a huge improvement, 7-9 to 9-7. It doesn't get them in the playoffs, but it's a really positive step in the right direction. Now, Eagles fans, you don't want to hear that. You want your team in the playoffs, I get it. But you got a hill to climb, especially with Dallas looking so dominant right now. So what about the Redskins and Kirk Cousins, still former team? I say that because they have not seemed to indicate that they want to pay him to stick around, yet they signed the franchise agreement to keep him around. It's mind-boggling. He's going to be playing on a 1-year deal again. I don't dislike Washington. They just are very dysfunctional, and that always turns at least one win into a loss at some point during the year. Therefore, I think that they're at least tied with the Eagles. They might be a step behind them. They got to play Philly, but they're at home week 1. That's a good sign. But then they have to go to LA, but it's the Rams. They're going to play Oakland. That's a loss. Kansas City, I don't know. You should beat San Francisco. At Philly is a loss. Dallas a loss. At Seattle's a loss. Minnesota, I think they can win. New Orleans is a toss-up. Giants, we probably lose the Giants and then the Dallas. At LA Chargers, I'm high on the Chargers this year, and they got to go to LA. That's a loss. Arizona and Denver are very beatable for the Redskins, and then they got the Giants. But in New York, the last final week of the season, that's a loss. Quick tally: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm counting at least 8 losses. So this could be another great year for the NFC East. What'd I say? I know what I said. 12-4 for the Cowboys, 11-5 for the Giants, 9-7 for the Eagles, 8-8 for the Redskins. That's really good, top to bottom. But only 2 of those teams are making the playoffs. Giants, Cowboys once again, because there's just too much talent in the NFC. Period. I mean, you can go back and look at last season. The Packers were in, the Falcons were in, and the Seahawks were in. But Arizona was 7-8-1. They were right in the hunt with Washington. Tampa Bay was 9-7. Detroit was 9-7 and in. Minnesota was 8-8. There's a lot of other teams in that 9-7 realm, so that if Philly and Washington really want to make a postseason push, they need to go to double digits. You kind of need to win double digits to make the playoffs. Detroit was the exception last year at 9-7. I don't know if a 9-7 team, I don't think they'll make one this year. I don't think so. All right, now, if we thought the NFC East was good, period, they also have a great rivalry. NFL Spin Zone today, I got an article up, Todd and I wrote, Giants, Cowboys, NFL rivalry. Now this is a great rivalry because everyone hates the Cowboys. So a lot of teams consider the Cowboys their rival, much like the Patriots of late. But the Cowboys can't consider many teams their rival. In the 90s, the 49ers were their rival. The 49ers stink now, that's nothing. They always play their division, hence the Giants, Eagles, and Redskins. But the Giants and the Cowboys have been historically very good, championships. Recently, very good. Both have elite quarterbacks. Both have elite wide receivers. Giants fall short in the running game. Dallas falls short on the defense. This is going to be a great matchup this season, an excellent rivalry, potentially playing out in the playoffs because these are both really good locks for the playoffs. Okay. Questions on the NFC East, because I got to touch on my Yankees, who just made a huge splash at the trade deadline. And it's August, which means this is the grinded out time for baseball. So I'm going to talk baseball for a second. I know we're NFC East, but I like the Yankees, and the Yankees are making moves, making noise, making news. All right, so August, September, final 2 months of the baseball season. But August is really the stretch run. There's no NFL yet. People pay attention. It's where the teams separate themselves. The Yankees are in first place, half a game up. They made a couple great moves for some starting pitching, and in my opinion, did not give up too many prospects. I mean, their most significant prospects are already playing in the majors. Jorge Mateo, shortstop, that one stings, but he's going back to Oakland. So, back to Oakland, yeah. Jorge Mateo stings a little bit. The other two guys they gave up were injured. Now, they got a lot of potential, but potential's not as good as already proving it. So I like this move. I mean, it doesn't vault the Yankees ahead of the Astros, who are just crushing and rolling through their schedule. But the Yankees played the Astros really well early in the season. This makes the series better. And considering how the Red Sox are going, we may get some Yankees-Red Sox in the playoffs, which will be awesome. Okay, enough baseball. Football starts shortly. My New York Jets get going. I think it's on the 12th. Is it the 12th or the 13th? I'm not sure the preseason yet. The 12th. Oh, I nailed it. I got a birthday coming up on the 22nd. Giants Jets on the 26th. This is a fun month. Football's starting. We'll kick things off with the Hall of Fame game and our induction ceremonies. Ballers is back on HBO, all about football. I'm trying to bring football to Vegas in Ballers. Now, football is already going to Vegas. The casinos agreed to pay for the stadium. And then something fell through, but then I think it's coming back and it's going to happen with the Raiders. So I'm not sure where the show's going. I kind of like that they tied in a real-life event. And the fact that it happening in real life means that it can be successful on the show for Spencer. But that's a good football show. So if you're really craving the game, I'd recommend HBO's Ballers. Fun like Hard Knocks, but better because it's a TV show with The Rock Johnson. And a final somber note, because I love football, but there was that CTE news regarding the study that was done where 110 out of 111 former NFL players who were tested had brain damage, CTE. That sucks. I mean, I played football for 4 years, absolutely loved it, went to a college that didn't have it, tried to play rugby, got hurt. Not surprising. Rugby, football, you get hurt. That's what happens. But you don't think that you're going to have long-term injury to your brain. Now, in retrospect, it makes sense. But when you start playing football and you're 15 years old, you're not really thinking about that. And I'm not sure I would have cared because I love football that much. The study hurts. It's going to make people retire early. I also think the level of contact at the high school is not nearly as significant as the level of contact at college. It's not nearly as significant at the level of the pros. Bigger, stronger, faster, harder hits, your brain gets shaken around more. So I'd be very curious if the level of impact sustained by a high school football player is significant enough to cause this type of damage. If you only play football for 4 years at the high school level, you're probably not going to have brain damage. The fact is that you continue on to college and add another 4 years, and you continue on to the pros and add another 4 to 10 years. That's a long time playing football, and the years add up, and the hits get harder as you go. I think that's where the issue comes. So I don't know what this means for our sport of football that I love so very much, because it shouldn't affect the younger generations too much. I mean, parents can get scared off, and kids aren't going to be as excited about it when they know the injury risks. Some of them won't be. But football pays the most, and it's tons of fun. It's very dynamic, and it's trying to evolve. The problem is football players wear helmets, so they're not as recognizable as in the other sports. I don't know if soccer or the NBA will eventually overcome this sport of football. I don't think the youth will stop playing because I don't think the injury at the youth levels is nearly what it is at the upper levels. But why do you want to go play college and pro football if you can play college and pro basketball and not have brain damage? You don't want to. Unless you just love the sport of football, which I personally do. Basketball is fun and all, but it's not the same, not nearly the same. Also, as a man, we like the contact. Some people don't, but some people really do. I truly enjoyed hitting people and knocking them on their asses. It's a huge adrenaline rush. Lifting weights, adrenaline rush. Just like extreme sports, snowboarding, adrenaline rush. Crushing somebody on the football field is an adrenaline rush, and it's super gratifying. It's a type of release of your aggression and your emotions and your anxieties onto another person who you can physically harm in a controlled environment. It's a rare thing, which is why it's very popular, especially among young men. But this CTE thing's the real deal. I'll have to get into it later because I'm not sure what it truly means for the long term of this game and how do we save the NFL. Because I love it. Don't want it to go away, but it's got to change. Alright, baby, I'm Dan Salem. That was a real moment. Before I come back next week to talk more NFL, I'm going to pick another division. Maybe I'll combine two into one because the AFC East and NFC East are the most interesting to me. AFC North's pretty interesting. And obviously the Falcons and their championship division, that's a tough one. But we got a bunch of them to cover, and the preseason's coming up quick. I'm here every Tuesday live, 5 p.m. Pacific time, talking the NFL on Facebook, at The Dan Salem, and on YouTube, BuzzChomp channel. Find me on Twitter, at The Dan Salem. Got great comedy every Friday, awesome content every single day of the week, BuzzChomp.com. All right, baby, tune back in. I'll be back. So will you. See you next week. Peace out. Peace.